Yes, thank you, David. And I gladly give some of my minutes as a present to you, Suja, because I can listen to you all day, and our presentations are very much in sync. Because when I came in with my pre-prepared presentation yesterday morning, I started to panic and think everything I wanted to say has not only already been said, that happens all the time, but it's been said by people with very convincing theoretical frameworks and very impressive PowerPoints. But then I thought I still have a secret because I have a video. Guess what happened this morning? People came with very impressive videos. I still have a video for you later on. But there's 3 points I wanted to make on behalf of the High Commissioner on National Minorities, but also based on my personal experience doing this for nearly 10 years now. One is that integration is a security issue. This is why an organization like the OSCE, which is a regional security organization, speaks about it. The second is that people making integration policies are actually like acrobats, and I will tell you later why. And the third is that it's about the journey, not the destination. Now let me tell you where I'm coming from. David mentioned my interest is actually in conflict studies, conflict prevention, which is, as our colleague yesterday from would have said, a very negative frame, thinking about conflict. I'd like to think of it also as thinking about peace, about building sustainable peace. And the institution that I represent was founded nearly a quarter of a century ago because the participating states of the OSCE realized that diversity, if handled badly, could really lead to tensions and conflicts, armed conflict and war, within countries or between countries. So it created an institution to help them figure out how to deal with it, to warn them at a very early stage if tensions had the potential to escalate into conflict. And then that institution started to evolve gradually over time. Because in the beginning of its history, with Max van der Stoel, whom many of you here will remember fondly or maybe less fondly, the institution was focused on helping countries to protect diversity, to establish safeguards for minority identities. But later on, it evolved and started looking at how to build what Shuza calls resilient, or what we call cohesive societies. And it distilled that experience in a little book that I brought with me. But I have bad news for you, they're all gone already, apparently. But there's more information about them later on. We thought we could be clever and write down what the OSCE thinks is best practice in the development of integration policies. It took us a couple of years, lots of failed attempts, lots of debates within the office. But in the end, we managed. And then one of my colleagues said that this document is pretty hard to deal with. It's pretty thick. So you should be able to explain it in 1 minute. In the internet age, you have to be able to be in someone's Facebook feed because they scroll past it very quickly. We struggled, but we'll do it in 2 minutes. So if you bear with me, I have a little movie that my colleague Zahid has called Explanimation to explain our Ljubljana guidelines to you in 2 minutes. It is also the first time that this is shown outside of an OSCE format to a whole group of practitioners on integration. So we're looking forward to your thoughts on it. If you could please start.
Diversity is a fact of modern societies. The OSCE is home to a rich tapestry of ethnic, linguistic, cultural and religious groups. This is a source of our strength and prosperity. But, handled badly, our diversity can be used to divide us and destabilize our societies. Tensions between ethnic, linguistic, cultural and religious groups can lead to conflicts within and between states. People who don't feel part of their society can feel alienated, they may become disengaged. When whole groups are excluded, there is the risk that external forces can exploit them and create divisions. This feeds into ethnic tensions that can lead to violence. This risk can be avoided by promoting integrated societies. Integration is a two-way process involving both majorities and minorities. In integrated societies, everyone participates in political processes and has an opportunity to express their opinion. Everyone has equal opportunities to enter the labor force. Everyone contributes to a shared cultural life. Children are encouraged to learn their own language as well as the state language. Media and public services are available in multiple languages, and law enforcement personnel are sensitive to cultural diversity. The OSCE High Commissioner on National Minorities is mandated to prevent conflicts involving national minorities. Today, diversity management is essential for all societies. and the High Commissioner's Ljubljana guidelines on integration of diverse societies get straight to the heart of this.
Thank you. Now back after the commercial break. I'd like to focus my presentation still on two things. The question that was put to me, namely the role of civil society, and one word that has continuously featured in all our discussions, both yesterday and today, and that word is balance. A balanced integration policy. We speak about it a lot. But when you think about balance, what kind of metaphors come to mind? What kind of images? One is, of course, Lady Justice, with her scales that she has in one hand and the sword that she has in the other hand. And it's not a metaphor that I quite like, especially not for the HCNM, because we're not blindfolded, we don't have a sword. And there's actually, as yesterday I learned, there is no positive truth out there that you can judge on. In fact, countries have to make these things up on their own. So I thought of another metaphor that I'll test drive on you as well, which is that of an acrobat on a tightrope who's trying to walk across a chasm of some sort. It could be in a circus tent, but I don't like to call the OSCE a circus. It could be across two skyscrapers, as you sometimes see people do. Just imagine an acrobat trying to balance, maybe having a stick as well to keep equilibrium. And what is on the two sides of the stick? What are the things pulling him to one side or the other? On the one side, you would have the nationalists, and I'm painting the most extreme picture here in order to visualize it for you. These are the people that want one nation, one state to match. Nationalist ideology, one language, one culture, for whom diversity really is a problem. And they want policies that remove diversity as much as possible and that promote unity. On the other hand, you have those that want to protect diversity to the next extreme, that want to not give up anything of what they have. They want their language to be an official language, they may want autonomy, they may want federalization, or they may want an independent state in order to make sure that the nationalist ideal of one nation, one state, one culture is achieved. So actually both sides want the same thing. We've seen that all before. We've seen where that leads. We've seen where both sides of that stick could lead us, and we don't want to fall in that chasm. So we want to achieve a balance between protecting diversity and promoting cohesion and integration. So effectively, an integration policy is a compromise. Nobody can get everything that they want, and it has to be a long and arduously negotiated compromise. As the acrobat walks over the tightrope, it is difficult. There's people shouting from all sides. I actually had to think of Peter Mehisto's PowerPoint, where he saw this big stick with lots of people holding it up and then somebody kicking at it from the side. That is what you need. You need inclusion. You need to bring as many people as possible into that debate on what an integrated society should look like. Because if one side is imposing its will on the other, then it's not really a sustainable outcome, not in our experience. Unfortunately, there is no silver bullet. There's no magic ingredient. There is no perfect way to achieve an integrated society. For all the consultants, or all the politicians, or all the OSCE officials in the world, no one really knows how to prescribe to one particular country how it should integrate its society. You have to do that on your own. And I have some more bad news. There is also no end to the rope. The acrobat is going to be up there for a very long time, because as he moves, society keeps changing. The rope is a very loose one, and it's a very long one. And there is no moment that you reach a platform on the other side and you can look back and say, we're done, we've integrated society. That doesn't happen. And I have more bad news, the rope also keeps moving because people keep kicking it all the time. If you look at Shuza's example, the demographic crisis, the euro crisis, there could be a geopolitical crisis, there could be a refugee crisis. All kinds of things can happen that basically unbalance this rope, that makes society change its mind, that make people change their perceptions of what a good and integrated society should look like. So then the acrobat has to adjust again. It's a really tough job to do. And the acrobat is not up there alone. And here I come to the role of civil society. As a representative of an intergovernmental organization, I always have to be a bit modest what I can tell civil society to do or not to do. But one thing in all my travels through the OSCE area, figured out that civil society is and should be as diverse as society itself. So what is very hard for me to do is to find the minority representative. And Shusha and I talked about this many times. How do you find the person or the organization representing the minority? They don't exist. It could be anything. It could be a politician who is trying to play identity politics and advocate for the rights of a community. It could be an elderly person, the head of a cultural association, who really wants a printed newspaper to be financed by the state. While young people from that minority community may be on Instagram or on a social media platform that I'm even too old for to understand. It could be the head of the teachers' union who wants to protect the jobs in minority schools. In fact, it is all of them and many more. So civil society itself is so diverse that you really need a lot of people at the table. But the second thing civil society is and does is act, and here it is again, as a check and a balance. Because it's part of a democratic process. A government shouldn't be out there on its own, making an integration policy and imposing it top-down. And I think the politicians all mentioned that the good initiatives need to come from below. You can't just leave it all up to the government. In fact, civil society is basically hanging on the back of the acrobat and shouting in his ear and shouting from below, jumping up and down on different sides of the stick. And that is how it should be, so that everybody is involved. But finally, and that is what we write here in our Ljubljana guidelines, for the hardcore readers among you, it's number 29 out of 50, that civil society should also help with the development of integration policies and with the monitoring and evaluation of these policies. Because as society changes, in the speed at which it changes, government cannot even pretend to really know everything that's going on. It needs help, because the integration policy is almost already outdated by the time it's published. It actually needs continuous revision and iteration to make it better and better. I think Peter called it, you have to make mistakes in order to improve. So, to sum it all up, that is why I'm so grateful that the Integration Foundation invited us to this conference, because it is doing exactly what we feel needs to happen. Together with the government, together with the Ministry of Culture and many other partners, of which we are proud to be one, you're creating the space for that debate to take place. The debate between experts, politicians, government officials, some international officials even. And I think that really is the way to go. Because I do want to end up on a positive note. The acrobat is not alone. There's 57 of them in the OSCE alone, all on their tightrope trying to make it to the other side that doesn't exist. But also, while there might not be an end to the rope, sometimes it's a good idea to try and stand still for a moment, look back, and see how far you've actually already come. Thank you very much.